All right. Good morning. This is my class observation video. My name is Gislena Sanchez, and I am part of the master program in English teaching. Um, Today, I want to talk about the CLT observation scheme and the principles of communicative language teaching that I did on Unidad Educativa de Género with a fellow English teacher. First, I want to explain or talk about the purpose of this activity. It was to analyze if the principles of CLT were being applied in other classrooms. CLT is very important. Communicative language teaching is an approach that focuses on meaningful communication and interaction as the main goal of language learning. As we learned in class, it's important for teachers to apply this approach and to plan activities related to it so students learn English by interacting with others and by using the language in real context. The key elements in CLT that were taken into consideration to do this activity was first focus on pragmatic meaning, then to give students a reason to do something, to speak English in class, to provide tasks with real life context, and to give learners tasks that are centered into activities that they have to do. In this class that I observed, I noticed first that the teacher used a lot of technology to give the lesson. She used the projector, she used video on which she introduced the lesson. The lesson was about literature and Greek mythology. After she used the video, she indicated the students' objective was to analyze stories related to Greek mythology, like the Iliad, Odyssey, and Prometheus. So she imparted this lesson by projecting the video and then giving students questions to talk about after watching the video. Then she did a group project. She took the students outside. I liked the part, and she gave them materials. She gave them paper. She gave them pictures. She gave them color pencils. The students had to choose a story that have read beforehand. It could be the Iliad or the Odyssey, and they had to do a timeline about the story that they read. So they actually uh, were using previous knowledge. The students were communicating during that activity. They were asking each other about what they remember because they didn't have the book there, so they had to do the timeline with everything that they remember. The students actually were discussing ways to do the project in English. They also used the story that they learned beforehand and to create the timeline. So when they had to present it to class, they had to explain everything that was going on and using pictures to talk about the story. Then some recommendations that I could give the teacher is to use more peer feedback. Maybe students could give, instead of being her the one to give students feedback, other students in class could ask questions to the group that presented the timeline. They could actually try to give each other feedback to know if the instructions or the topic they talk about was very clear. Another recommendation that I would give was to the teacher including problem solving real-time tasks, something that could be applied to real life situations, maybe talking about a timeline or maybe doing the projects is not really used in real life situations, so she could have adapted the task to something more simpler that took less time and actually try to help them understand what they have to do because a lot of students have questions. So it's important to be clear there in the instructions and to let them try to find simple ways or try to adapt the task to what they know or what they have as material. And also to give students autonomy to increase CLT. For example, some kids didn't like to speak in English in the groups because they were that confident. So maybe give instructions beforehand and students could have better ways to to speak in English between one another. So I think CLT is something that needs to be really well planned and instructions should be clear when you give students a task. And maybe explaining why they have to do this and in real situations they could. Okay, but maybe a book club, if you like to read, you could have a book club and use this kind of language. I think the activity was important because it helps the students get loose and lose the fear to speak in English in class. Thank you very much. This was everything about my class observation.